Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Electric State, and this is from directors Anthony and Joe Russo, and from writers Marcus and McFeely. So, the team behind most of the Captain America films, and also Infinity War and Endgame, have a $320 million Netflix sci-fi dystopian film here, which there's a lot of world building. The Earth that's existing in this film has had robots a part of it for a long time, and then there's robot wars where humans took over robot avatars and took the fight to the robots. Now they're illegal, and we have this story where an orphan teen hits the road with a mysterious robot to find her long-lost brother, and winds up teaming up with a smuggler and his wisecracking robot sidekick. And I think the world building here is interesting. I think the world that this film takes place has a lot of potential to it, and themes and ideas that you can explore. And also, I like a lot of the character designs and how they're all put together, and there's some fun voice performances for a bunch of these characters in general. And it's one of those kinds of things where, sure, this world and everything is cool, but do we care about the story? Do we care about the characters? Now, this film has some pretty decent CGI at times, and especially with like the specific characters, they look really well done and put together. The world around them might feel like a little bit too much of like CGI blobfest, but I think and you have like Alan Silvestri who does the score here. I think the vibe that the Russos are going for is very, like, really trying to get to make this feel like a Spielberg film, or at the very least a Robert Zemeckis film, which a lot of his films are trying to feel like Spielberg films. And I don't know if it quite gets there. I think the Silvestri score feels a little too, like, on the nose and trying to make it feel that way. I think Millie Bobby Brown is not exactly the most interesting lead here, and I don't think she does the best job. I think just this character is so clunky and blandly written, and she doesn't have a whole lot to work with and doesn't make a whole lot out of it. I think Chris Pratt is doing his Chris Pratt kind of thing, and the material he's given is not the best, but, you know, he'll get a few chuckles out of you here or there. You have so many talented actors, from Woody Harrelson to Ke Huy Quan to Alan Tudyk and Giancarlo Esposito and Stanley Tucci, all thrown in here. And so many of these characters just feel so underwhelming in terms of how they're fleshed out. Everything feels very clunky and bland and one note in terms of the writing and characterization. There's so much expositional dialogue peppered throughout this film. Just the way that this film tries to tell us backstory feels so heavy-handed and awkward. There's not a whole lot from a writing standpoint that makes this film particularly interesting. It's also very overstuffed in terms of ideas and plotting and narrative beats, and you have like this sense of mystery, but it never really feels like we really connect and care that much about it for us to want to invest in this little over 2-hour film. And like story-wise, it feels pretty underwhelming in terms of what it's doing, and there were so many things that you could explore in this particular film, and every conflict and confrontation feels so on the nose because how the writing is, and there's also some really uncomfortable and clunky and weird dialogue moments, especially with Pratt and his sidekick character, and you're just like, what's going on here? And who wrote this? And it's it's kind of disappointing because this has an interesting idea based off of a novel specifically from writer Simon Stalenhag, but it just feels like this is so half-hearted and thrown together that it's like, wow, we have such a cool, interesting world-building concept. That's enough to sell this movie, right? No, and they spent $320 million making this, and it feels extremely underwhelming from a cinematic experience. But those are my thoughts on The Electric State. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.